so might as well get all these too. So you can kind
Little Fred.
of appreciate that.
Okay. Can you angle your camera down a little bit? We can only see the top of your head. There we go.
Oh, went back.
Is it a camera or is it a laptop?
There you go.
Probably a laptop. Yes. I think so. Oh, no, somebody muted us. Are we muted?
No.
We are not muted? Okay.
Testing 1, 2.
I saw Ty shake her head, but she can hear me, so that's good. Yeah. Okay, 30-ish seconds. And Cindy, there are International Delight little creamer packets as well. It's not just the powdered stuff.
Yes. Oh, did you make yourself one?
It matters.
It does.
Realized my watch may be behind, and it is. So we'll kick off. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Before I turn it over to our gracious host, I'll recognize that we're conducting our business today primarily on the territory of the Tla'aque'esh First Nation, and to recognize, affirm, and appreciate that fact. With that in mind, though, before we go into introductions, I'd like to ask if the mayor would like to give us some opening comments and a welcome. So please go ahead.
Sure, I'll stand up to do it, and my apologies, I did reach out to Chief Elmer Frank, Tla'aque'esh First Nation territory to come, but he was unavailable. There's been a death in the community, so he's unable to come. So I will do my best to honor the Tla'aque'esh by giving a traditional welcome. Uklasish Dan Law, Istakshitl, Tla'aque'esh Hahuthi, Igiats Tla'aque'esh Hahuthi, Uhuks, Nawiksu Bruce Law, that's my father's Bruce Law, and Ooks Anixu Rita Clark actually is my mother, and Wikshin Chukwa, which is a traditional official welcome for dignitaries. Is everything well with you? And it means we hope everything is well with you. Welcome. So with that in mind, I'm happy to have you all here to know we're technically on the Tla'aque'esh First Nation territory. Tinwis is reserve lands, not Tofino. And so I'm here, of course, on behalf of Tofino, but honoring the land that we're on as well.
And well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's as someone who's from closer to Dididont and their dialect, it's very refreshing to hear the kind of northern Barclay dialect. So that's really cool.
And I was perfect with that.
It sounded pretty good to me. Okay, so with that in mind, we will do a round of introductions. We'll start at the table and go around counterclockwise. So we'll start with Alex, if you will.
Thank you, Alex Dyer, General Manager of Planning and Development.
I'm Mike Sparrow, and I'm the control representative for Cherry Creek.
Beta Siga, Director for Long Beach Area C.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mariah Coots. I'm the representative for the Hochaklasat tribe. I'm happy to be here.
Dan Law, Mayor of Tofino.
Bob Beckett, representing Area A, Banfield.
Good afternoon, Jenny Bryan, General Manager of Community Services. Good afternoon, Marilyn McEwen, Mayor of Ucluelet.
Hello, Plama Penny Cote. I'm the electoral area director for Sprout Lake. Cindy Soda, the alternate for Mayor Minions, and of course, City of Port Alberni.
Good afternoon, everyone. Debbie Haggard, Councillor for the City of Port Alberni and Vice Chair of the ACRD Board of Directors. And I'd like to thank Tofino for hosting us on such a beautiful day.
Good afternoon, I'm Daniel Sion, the CAO for the ACRD.
And we'll go online. We'll start with Director Boyko.
Fred Boyko, Electoral Area Director for Beaufort. Thank you.
Thank you. And Director Roth.
Thank you. Susan Roth, the Director for Beaver Creek. Thank you.
Okay, am I missing anyone? I think the flower is Janice, so we're okay. And the others are our delegation. So I think we're in good shape. Okay, so we are conducting our business today in a hybrid format. We're not just meeting here on the West Coast. We have folks online coming from their own homes. I don't know that anybody is actually in the boardroom. If they are, I send my condolences because it'll be really lonely in there. I don't think there are. And there is?
Susan.
Oh, no, she's in her own office though, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She went and
Apparently, in order for the system to work, that the boardroom needs to be the host. So, yeah. But with that in mind, we are broadcasting live through YouTube, but that is also embedded on our website. So you can get there from there. In addition, if anybody registered beforehand, they'd be able to attend via Zoom rather than watch online through YouTube. But I'm not certain anybody did that this time around. So with that in mind, we have the approval of the agenda in front of us. I believe we only have one piece of, or two pieces of extra materials for 12.1A. But I don't think there's anything else.
Sorry, just clarifying that there's one letter of correspondence for 12.1A, and the other was a letter of correspondence regarding a previous planning matter.
Oh, I just saw Bamfield and I assumed it was all 12.1A. Thank you for the correction. We're in good shape. Thank you, Cynthia. Cool. Before we move on, Cynthia, do you want to introduce yourself and then go to the other poor soul in that room? Go ahead.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Uklama Cynthia Dick, General Manager of Administrative Services for the ACRD. We don't have any members of the public here in the boardroom, but I am joined by Alima, so I'll just hand it over to her.
Oh, we cannot hear you, Alima. Sorry.
People fell out again.
I think the cable fell out again. Alima, you might want to move to a different microphone.
She's sitting in my seat.
Oh, same thing. No, it's where Mike sits. It's his fault, clearly.
Got blamed for that.
Is she just joking with us?
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure why the other microphones aren't working. But we
Okay.
have Alima, she's the planner one, and we will have IT join us just in case we can fix the issue. Thanks.
Okay.
Planner one.
Thank you. And sorry, Alima, we'll have to do this some other time as well. So with that in mind, we do have the approval of the agenda with the two pieces of new material. Could we have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented? Thank you, Director Coots, seconded by Director Law. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. That brings us to the next item, which are declarations. So does anyone have any declarations, conflict of interest, or other considerations around maybe gifts? And we also at this point talk about time considerations. So I know that some of us may need to leave earlier. Director Law, go ahead.
Through the chair, I'll be leaving in 1 hour at about 2:40.
40? Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone else? Go ahead.
I have to leave at 4 if we're still going.
I think you'll be okay. But that being said, I will have to step up for 12.1A because I am the chair of HGB. So that will just make sure we're okay, because I don't actually get a vote in those decisions, but I should leave anyway. Okay, so thank you, everyone. That brings us into the next item. We don't have any invited presentations, but we do have a delegation. So normally delegations are restricted to 10 minutes. If we get close to that 10 minutes, then usually what I do is I hit pause and ask the board if they want to continue. The answer is almost invariably yes, but we do have to go through that process. I won't start the clock until you actually start talking in the event that there may be some presentation issues, but we're not in the boardroom, so hopefully your computers are more than able to make those presentations. So with that in mind, I would like to welcome Ms. Ty Ullman as well as Christopher Cameron in regards to the workforce development plan that's being undertaken. Thank you and welcome for being welcome. And let's get on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can you see the slides okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. So good afternoon, and thank you, Chair, Directors, Mayors, and staff for the opportunity to share this work today. I'm Ty Ullman, Senior Project Manager, presenting on behalf of Synergy Foundation. We're a Victoria-based nonprofit working with communities to build regenerative economies. And I'm joining you remotely today from the Qathet region of the Upper Sunshine Coast, the traditional and treaty lands of the Tla'amin people. And I'm joined today by Christopher Cameron, Consulting Director with Catalyst Research Group, who led the research and authored the plan. And so over the next 10 minutes, we'll walk you through what the Workforce Development Plan is, why it matters now, what we heard from your community, and how local government can support its delivery over the next 10 years. And importantly, today, we're not asking for funding or new resources. We're asking for your endorsement and your support, the kind of support that helps this work succeed when called on across the next decade. And next slide, please. Thank you. So before we get started, we would like to really gratefully acknowledge that our work is taking place on the traditional territories of Sechot, Hupecheseth, and surrounding Nuchanoth nations in the Alberni-Cliquot region, and primarily in the Port Alberni region. A core principle of this plan is that Indigenous nations lead. Sechot and Hupecheseth are not contributors to be consulted. They are governments and partners with whom we co-design and co-deliver. And the plan was built with input from over 30 contributors across the workforce ecosystem, including Indigenous leaders, employers, training providers, support organizations, and youth. And the themes you'll see in the presentation came directly from those voices. And next slide, please. So Synergy Foundation is a lead organization for this project and works to catalyze regenerative economies, including through some of our programs like BC Green Business and Project Zero. And Catalyst Research Group is the independent research firm Synergy commissioned to lead the labor market study, the community engagement, and to author this plan. And this workforce development plan is part of a 2-year project. It's funded through the Government of Canada, the Canada Retraining and Opportunities Initiative. And the project includes a labor market study, fully funded training, which is already in progress, and the 10-year plan we'll walk you through today. And the work has been guided by a workforce development plan committee, which formed at the beginning of the project and has strong local representation, including the Alberni-Cliquot Regional District, City of Port Alberni, North Island College, the Nuchanoth Employment and Training Program, Huu-ay-aht First Nation Employment and Training, Indigenous Fisheries First, Inyo Employment Services, and Work BC Centre Port Alberni. And what that committee and the research engagement directly produced is 3 fully funded training programs with training allowances and wraparound supports for up to 48 people, and green building and manufacturing delivered by North Island College. That training runs as 2 cohorts of 15, and the first cohort has completed training, and all 15 trainees were offered employment with IGV housing directly after completing training. And the second cohort is in training now, and it completes June 19th. And then we're offering maritime industry restoration and remediation training, which will be delivered through the Coastal Restoration Society, and that has 12 trainees and runs June 8th to July 8th. And I share this not just to talk about training, but to be clear, this work is already underway and grounded in community. And the plan you'll see in a moment is how this momentum carries forward over the next 10 years. And so with that, I will pass it over to Christopher to walk us through the plan.
Great. Thanks so much, Ty. I appreciate that. So I think one of the things that we learned here is that this work is really timely. I think 2026 is a pivotal year for circular economy and when it comes to the investment and policy and procurement systems.
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah, of course.
Could you speak up a little bit? I think the gain on your mic is not as good as it could be.
No problem. I'll speak up. Is that better?
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So yeah, it's a pivotal year. We really wanted to kind of point out at the beginning of this presentation that the circular economy opportunity here projected to be somewhere in the range of just over $6 trillion by 2030, which is an astronomical number. And on Vancouver Island and the coast, we're looking at almost 190,000 job openings over the next 10 years, with about 70% being driven by retirement. So that's a huge number too. So the question for the region is not whether the work is going to exist, that the plan is suggesting. It's more who fills it and how. And Port Alberni in particular has a really strong trades-based environmental assets, such as a deep sea port, lots of agricultural land and aquaculture, and partners that we know are ready to move on things. So the window to position, is wide open right now. So we think this is really timely. Just a little bit more here to kind of transition here. So, to start us off here, we want to talk about where we are. So there's five kind of key pressures we learned through all of our engagement we did. Really low labor force participation, that aging population getting closer to retirement, lower educational attainment, lower median income with a higher reliance on things like transfers, and then other structural barriers such as childcare issues, transportation, housing, mental health supports, and other access to resources digitally that really decide who can participate in training and other opportunities for work. On the other side, the region's foundation, as I mentioned earlier, is quite exceptional. So skilled trades built across generations, deep sea port with vessel recycling potential, the agricultural land and the food hub, one of the largest seaweed operations in North America, and 17% of residents are First Nations, and the nations have built a really strong capacity for leadership and have a vision for where this can go as well, which is fantastic. And this plan's job is to bridge the two columns, right? So we're going to turn these structural pressures we have here into participation, and then turn those foundations into careers for folks in the long run. So between February and March of 2026, we ran 7 focus groups with employers and training providers, First Nation leaders, supporting organizations and youth, and captured over 30 voices, and the themes were really clear and crisp. First and foremost here, employers are ready to hire. The constraint is training that's short, paid, and ultimately results in a real job opportunity, with 6 weeks being kind of the practical ceiling for how long people are willing to invest in that. Wraparound supports, as I mentioned earlier, are a key barrier that need to be overcome. Things like transportation and childcare, food, housing, and mental health are what decide who can actually show up for training and be part of these opportunities. Another key principle is that this work is and should be First Nations led, not as contributors to be consulted, but as governments at the table leading decision making. And another core discussion that happened as well is youth need is visible, from the schools to the career, having a path that they can actually follow with things like meal opportunities disappearing. And then the community was really direct with us that policy and zoning barriers do slow things down from time to time, as we know, and so we need to make sure we're aware of that. And every action that's in the plan that you guys can take a look at traces back to these core themes that we learned through that engagement and built on the labor market study that Ty referenced earlier as well. So the plan organizes 10 years of work, which is a long stretch, but goes by quickly, into these 6 interlocking pillars, and none of them can be done alone. So pillar 1 is the engine. It's that short paid employment connecting cohorts in green building, marine environmental restoration, and regenerative tourism. Pillar 2 is a foundational piece, again, with Indigenous leadership and self-determination, co-governance, driving that work. Pillar 3 is what makes participation possible. So again, overcoming these childcare, transportation, food, housing, mental health, and digital access barriers we've talked about. For pillar 4, we want to ensure the jobs are at the end of the training cycle. So having employer commitments, work integrated learning is really crucial. For pillar 5, we're turning youth back toward careers in the region. And then number 6 is where local governments play a crucial role, things like zoning, procurement opportunities, facilities, and housing alignment as well, the things that we need to kind of move to deal with some of those other systemic barriers. And every action in the plan that we've kind of identified has a lead as well as key partners, with timelines that are flexible but still aggressive enough to kind of move the work forward, and budget considerations with measurable outcomes as well, so that there's a roadmap that we can see how successful we've been. So a couple of good news things here, I guess. The plan unfolds in 3 phases, with work already underway that Ty's already mentioned. So the foundation in the next 2 years, something like a governance council gets seated with first cohorts run, and First Nation co-leadership is established in the process of doing that with local government, including this table here being asked to formally endorse the plan and integrate it into your corporate strategic plans moving forward. As we move into phase 2, it's more of a delivery period here past the foundation. So from 2028 to 2030, thinking about developing a center of excellence and opening that, expanding into renewable environmental restoration, more regenerative tourism with wraparound supports in place. And we start to scale the work from that period on. In phase 3, it's really about transformation. So we're thinking in that 5-year period from 2031 to 2036, the model becomes self-sustaining and the workforce is starting to kind of generate itself and be operational. And again, this isn't aspirational. We're actually doing the work now that's kind of driving this. And obviously, there's a lot more work to be done in 10 years, but it's all mapped out. So I know we're getting close. I think we're at our 10 minutes here. So I'm just going to kind of really dig in on this really quickly here. So the plan is really quite expensive.
Here, what I'll do is, could we have a motion to continue the presentation? Thank you, Director Cote, seconded by Director Coots. Any further comments? All those in favor? Motion carried. Please continue.
Thank you. Yeah, so again, we're looking at a variety of different things here, right? So the plan is really quite explicit about who's going to build it, and this work can't be delivered by one organization alone. So each of the different groups that you see on this slide here will play a crucial role in moving the work forward. And I won't stop and belabor that too long, but it's not an N of one kind of process, right? So last piece I want to speak to here is really kind of the ask of you. So we're at the heart of kind of the issue here, and we're asking for really 4 things. None of them are money related. None of them require financial commitment from you. The first is truly endorsement. So we'd like some formal endorsement of the workforce development plan, ideally before we hit the October 2026 election period. So the work has some political continuity attached to it. The second piece here is we'd like, as I said earlier, for you to reflect this in your strategies whenever possible. So integrating alignment with the plan, with your corporate or strategic plans, and carry it through. Third would be to speak with one voice. So when you're going to different tables, whether they're funders or the public, your voice can be really instrumental in driving the plan forward, and referencing it and being positive about it is helpful. And then I think the fourth and final piece here is really open doors when you're called upon, and really kind of provide that kind of distant support when it can be offered. So I think that actually kind of wraps us in, because I know we're over time here. So I'll just kind of pause and thank you guys again for your time. We appreciate the opportunity to come and share this with you today.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any comments or questions? Go ahead.
Have you coordinated with like North Island College or any other place for this plan, or is this the start of the plan? 'Cause I know the place on by the pulp mill, Catalyst, just hired some people there to help work building their modular homes, and they cut the training from somewhere. Is this part of this plan, or is that a different one?
That's directly attached to this plan. I think you're talking about IGB housing.
Yes.
Is that correct? Yes. Yeah, we actually, in designing our curriculum with North Island College, we had built a strong relationship with Jody at IGV. And so through our funder, we were able to really tailor that training to meet the needs of the employer. And we ended up adding a cohort 2 just to reflect their employment needs and hiring needs, so that the folks going through the training would have that direct pathway to employment after. And 12 of the original 15 in the cohort are currently employed at IGV. All 15 were offered employment, and the next cohort also will most likely end up employed at IGV.
All right, thank you. Dr. Roth, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm curious to know the Synergy Foundation. Is it a nonprofit or a private business, and perhaps how it's structured and who's involved, what they're structured as? Thank you.
Sure. Through the chair, we're a nonprofit in Victoria. I work remotely in the Qatat region. We have different core programs. We're specifically focused on the circular economy and supporting communities and businesses, SMEs, to increase their circularity. And then we also have capacity to bring on larger one-off projects, so grant-funded projects. So a lot of these projects, this one in particular, and a few others we're working on, are grant-funded projects, both through.
Is there a private corporation involved as well?
No, we have a board, and we're a nonprofit.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
And Synergy is the only one? Like, I thought I read there was 2.
Well, Catalyst, Christopher, you can speak to Catalyst. We brought them on as a consultant to work with us on this project.
Okay, and that's a private business.
Yeah, we're a private consulting firm out of Vancouver. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I have one other question. Accreditation, like, is this something people can put on their resume, or I know it's very short training and very minimal, but I mean, it matters.
All of it is certified through North Island College with a lot of safety training, and all of that comes with the certifications. All recognized certifications come through that program. So it is an accredited program with multiple safety certifications, as well as green building. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, we might as well kind of cover it off again in a little bit. Could you go over the origin of the project, how it was funded, and like how it interacts with the regional district as a whole?
Sure. Through the chair, we saw an opportunity, this grant opportunity, and it was directly related to the mill closures and as a direct response for communities that were impacted by mass layoffs. So we saw an opportunity to look at different sectors that had circular potential, where we could really help build up the workforce and find new opportunities. So we were awarded the grant, which led to the labor market study. But really, I started at the Alberni Valley Learning Council, and that's how we brought the Workforce Development Plan Committee together, so that it was really guided by community members. And one of those representatives was Amy Needham from the regional district. She was really instrumental in helping guide this work.
Thank you for that. I think that really helps kind of edify people's understanding. I'm wondering if you have interacted at all with the Alberni Valley Forestry Coalition at all? It seems like there's a bit of overlap with some of the people you've worked with, but you might actually get some good insight from them in the work that you're doing.
Thank you. I haven't had direct contact with them. Christopher, have you? Apologies.
They weren't part of the group that we did, so it's a good recommendation. Yeah.
Okay, I will get someone to send you my email address, and I'll try to make some introductions, because it seems like there's some real good you could do there.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Go ahead.
Have you reached out to other organizations in the valley that are looking for, bigger companies that are looking for workers, and see how you can help them retrain their employees, like simple things like women's forklift training, just the simple things that people walk into an industrial environment don't have, and it's very dangerous if they don't. Are you doing that part of it?
With our funding, we were able to design these 3 kind of core 4 to 5 week programs. I think what the plan lays out is opportunities to provide more training and to cover some of those needs as well. We did engage with quite a few industry partners, AMIX and IGV and others, to better understand what their needs are, especially in the next 10 years and moving forward, the potential of vessel recycling, and like what are the needs that the community would need to train up for over the next 10 years. So beyond the 3 training programs, we're not delivering additional training at the moment, but there's a lot of potential for that.
Dr. Solda?
I'm just kind of curious to know, what about construction? I mean, there's going to be a lot of construction happening in Port Alberni in the next 5 years, out within the 5 years and that, and we're going to have a shortage. So I'm just kind of curious to know if you've thought of that, or you are doing that.
The first 2 trainings are specific to green building and manufacturing, to reflect that need. So that was in the labor market study and workforce development that Christopher identified. And so the skills that we're building now are towards construction. So that will be by June 19th, 30 new trainees with skills in construction and manufacturing.
Thank you.
Okay, any further comments or questions? I had one last one, and that's about the circular economy growth. Is this something where I'm only aware of circular economy work happening on the other side of the island, say in the RDN and the city of Nanaimo, mostly because I know Ben Gesselbrecht. Are there Are there considerations that are being embedded in these conversations and the work that you're doing that goes particularly towards that? And are you thinking about integrations within the region or across the island or both?
Yeah, Christopher, I don't know if you want to speak to that kind of larger picture, but I'm happy to talk.
Yeah, I wanted to start, Ty, and I can fill in. I've got a thought or two, but go for it. Yeah.
Okay. Every training program that we're providing does have that circular economy component and training attached to it. So that's the lens we took for this entire grant. And that's why the labor market study, it doesn't include, island health and other sectors. It's really specific to the sectors that have that circular economy potential. And so that was our focus for this project.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, when it comes to kind of the forestry and building and that sort of thing, I think there's an argument to be made that vital parts of the forestry adjacent economy don't just exist entirely within the region. So we have to consider outside the region as well. That being said, that's something we can cover off later. It's just, if we help workers understand where they fit into the economy as it exists on the island, there may be some better understanding of how the work should get done. And I don't know, that could help, but maybe that's too abstract, but I do appreciate the work that's being done. Thank you. Chris, did you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I think you covered it, actually. I think I was going to say the same thing. I think there's the consideration of the adjacent pieces of the economy kind of woven into this as well. It's not, thought about in isolation. I think, Ty, you and your team did a really fantastic job of kind of making sure there was connections with people who have those thought processes across different kind of sectors and different kinds of industry generally. So that's the kind of creative thought that's required to drive it forward, because these plans, they set the roadmap, and then there's lots of, kind of detours, I guess, that are positive along the way usually. And so I think that's what you're kind of referring to, is taking advantage of those opportunities when they come up, which I agree with.
Okay. I don't think there's any other comments. Oh, sorry, Susan. Please go ahead, Dr. Roth.
That's okay. I'm just curious myself. I was a forest worker, and after being laid off multiple times, I decided to go back to school. I was on EI at the time, and Work BC, I think it was called, up in Port Alberni here, helped me develop a back to work action plan or something like that, a back to work plan. And in the end, they paid for 2 years of university, and including my living expenses and a major portion of the schooling expenses. And do we not have that anymore, or is there not those type of programs too? Or I see Work BC is also in your plan.
Work BC has been a great partner for us. The funding that we have actually does have some financial support, like a training or wage subsidy for this training. I know Work BC does have other grants and programs, and I think $3,500 per student. I think that they can offer, and I know North Island College has put in some requests for additional funding, but within the scope of our grant, we've been able to offer funding to be able to get paid while training if they're not on EI, and other supports, wraparound supports that we identified as being really important. But I'm not a Work BC expert. They've been a great partner, but I do know they do have other opportunities to help folks.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, last chance. Any further comments? All right, thank you. On behalf of the board, thank you for your presentation. And I may bug you by email because this is interesting, but that'll be later. Thank you.
Please do. We invite you all. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Great. Okay, so that brings us to the next agenda item, which is 6A through D. So it is a consent agenda, which means that we can have one motion to accept all of the meeting minutes that are listed there. Unless you don't want to, then you can have a motion to pull one out if you'd like to speak to it. But if there's just any corrections or that sort of thing, we can do it within the auspices of the consent agenda, from what I understand.
I'll move to it.
Thank you, Director Solda, for moving to adopt, seconded by Director Beckett. Any further comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. That brings us into items removed from the consent agenda, of which there are none. And then that brings us into public input periods. We don't have anybody in the gallery, and I don't think our tech guy wants to say anything. Is there anybody physically in the boardroom?
There's nobody here in the boardroom. However, we do have 3 attendees who are joining virtually. And if they do have public input, they could raise their hand on there.
All right, we'll give you a Jeopardy jingle. You get to raise your hand or use the Q&A function. I can't remember how it works. If not, we can move on.
So we do have 1 hand raised.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have some concerns on
Can you introduce yourself in your area, like where you live?
Yeah. Douglas Hedman, Port Alberni. We're out Beaver Creek on Hedman Road.
Okay, and I'll just hit pause for a second. I have to read something out. So we need to make sure that public input is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board or committee on agenda items other than items that are restricted, which include a bylaw in respect of which a public hearing has been held or is not required to be held or must not be held, a development variance permit or temporary use permit unless the delegate is addressing the board at the meeting during which the permit will be considered, an ongoing legal proceeding, personnel matters, or publicly tendered contracts before they are awarded. If you wish to speak, raise your hand, which you've already done. Raise your hand in the boardroom, but you're online. Identify your name and your civic street you live on, Beaver Creek. And I think that's it. So you have 3 minutes. And if you have the agenda item that you're speaking to, let us know. But yeah, please go ahead and your time doesn't start until you start talking, Doug. So thank you.
Yeah, so that's for the notice of temporary use permit, the TUP 26001.
The agenda. So thank you for making sure you're speaking to an agenda item being considered today. So please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just there's a few concerns. I've talked with everybody on our property and some of the neighboring properties, and we have concerns of fire control and stuff like that. And a lot of people are worried that there's not going to be a public meeting, so all that can get their voice heard. So I'm just curious if that's going to happen at any point on this agenda.
Okay, I don't personally know the answer to that. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, thank you, Douglas. When the board gets to that agenda item at 12.1B, that will be one of the options that will be discussed for the application. The board has the option to defer a decision on the TUP and delegate a public meeting to be held to gather input prior to making a decision. So that will be one of the options that we will present to the board when the item comes up for discussion.
Okay, awesome.
I think that's pretty much it. Thank you for connecting in. I think you're the first person to connect in and actually have a comment. So thanks for going through all the rigmarole of like getting in on the attendees list and doing it that way. So thanks for taking the time, Doug.
Awesome. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you, Doug, for calling in.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. And are there any other folks, Cynthia?
No other hands have been raised.
Okay, Doug, I think you can lower your hand and I think we're all good. Okay, that brings us to the next item. We don't have any correspondence for information, nor do we have any for action. That brings us into item 11, which is request for decisions reports. So item 11A is a request for decision regarding the BC Transit Annual Operating Agreement. And I bet that's Eddie. Yes, it is. Hello, Eddie. Please go ahead.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, Chair and Directors. Before you today is a 2026-2027 Annual Operating Agreement with BC Transit for the continued delivery of both the Alberni Valley Custom and West Coast conventional transit systems. This is a standard annual agreement that enables the ACRD to deliver these services in partnership with BC Transit under the long-standing Master Operating Agreement. The costs contained within the agreement are consistent with those presented to the board during the 2026 financial planning process and should be familiar in terms of overall budget impact. Overall, both systems continue to evolve positively. Custom Transit ridership increased by approximately 12.7% in 2025, driven in part by the recent service expansion, which included Saturday service and additional weekday peak hours. On the West Coast, 2025 marked the first full year of BC Transit operation, with approximately 6,000 recorded riders. Though we do believe the actual ridership is expected to be higher as the tracking, particularly for the youth usage, is refined a little bit more. There are a couple items we'd like to highlight within this. First, with respect to the custom transit system, there have been ongoing discussions regarding the current cost-sharing model. Following direction from the Alberni Valley and Bamfield Services Committee, staff will soon provide a high-level overview of the process for requesting a formal service review. And then secondly, regarding the West Coast Transit System, directors will note an increase in the 2026-27 budget. This is largely a reflection of moving from estimated costs in the first year of BC Transit operation to more accurate budgeting based on actual experience, particularly for fuel and maintenance. Additionally, the system saw a planned increase of approximately 1,300 service hours in early 2026. These adjustments are not unexpected and represent stabilization of the service rather than a significant change in scope. With that, the agreement before you reflects the continuation of both services. Staff recommend approval and are happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. I have Director Cote first.
Thank you. Understanding that the budget for 2026 went up 38.13%. This is unattainable cost for Sprout Lake for the amount of service that we receive. So I would like to know if Sprout Lake can be removed from this service. So I would say I would make the motion to not approve this, although I don't believe we can get out of this service until there's written submission saying that Sprout Lake would like out of it. We haven't had that conversation at this table yet, but I am wanting to cancel the service for Sprout Lake and create our own service, just because I think that it is a valuable service, but the cost is just way too high. Sprout Lake this year paid $70,894. Over last year was $51,323. By the year 2030, it's going to be $89,032. That's the estimated cost, but that could be driven up by other increases that could come along, like fuel cost or whatever. So I think that I would really like to know how Sprout Lake can get out of this service at this time.
Thanks, Director Cote. I think it's important to note that the annual operating agreement is an agreement between BC Transit and the ACRD as a whole, and it's somewhat agnostic to how the money comes to them. It's just, they don't care where it comes from as long as it comes to them, right? And so I think apportionment is a different conversation, and we have resolved to have that conversation in a meaningful way. I can't remember the guy's name though. Nielsen, who's supposed to help us with that in the near future. So I think the agreement is a separate conversation from that particular item. And setting up a new service is a separate conversation as well, just because I don't think, yeah, I think that's how it works. Although if anybody knows any better in regards to the structure or sequencing of it, that would be helpful. Daniel, is there anything you could add?
Yeah, like we do have a resolution to work on the apportionment, and we are going to revisit that so that the apportionment is exactly as you're saying. Like it speaks to, I think, the core issue that you're identifying, Director Cody, which is how much you pay. And so redivvying that is certainly, I would recommend the first step, because the board has already directed to go down that path prior to considering withdrawal from a service. We would have to go through the due diligence of revisiting those options. And that would be different than not proceeding with this agreement. Now, if the board does not want to proceed with this agreement, then I would just have to flag that it is a weighted vote. So we'd have to be mindful of that. We probably want to record just to make sure that we're using the weights properly on how that moves forward. So, but that motion has not been seconded yet, so I'll just make sure we're aware.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure everyone knew my understanding of the process as it goes forward. So we'll hit pause on motions for now, but we'll come back to you, Dr. Cote. I have Director Boyko and then Director Sparrow. And then Director.
Thank you, Chair. My concerns are very similar to what Director Cote just went through. The numbers are not the same because you have lower population in that, but our costs are $6,000 last year and $8,200 this year, 36% increase. And last year, nobody used the service at all. So our cost per trip is essentially infinite, if you want to do it that way. Whereas cost per trip in places like Port Alberni and Beaver Creek, which are the major users, is like $12 per trip. Cost per trip in Sproat Lake is up in the $900 per trip range. It's how it's billed out. So we do have to come to some kind of better agreement with regard to apportionment and get it user-based rather than just based on how we're doing things now, which is just assessment. So it's not just this, there's other things in the budget as well. That apportionment applies to. Thank you.
All right, so thank you for the questions regarding apportionment. I think it's important to note that we're not talking about apportionment. But that we
but essentially this leads to that conversation, right? Like we're talking about custom transit, and the fact is Sproat Lake's not happy with paying a lot per trip. Beaufort's not happy paying an infinite number per trip because we don't use the service, although someone has used it in 2026. That being said, this does lead to apportionment moving forward. Thank you.
Yes, it leads to apportionment. And I think that's the thing we've already resolved to do. So what did you want any specific numbers in that? Or I think the numbers you quoted are actually accurate anyway. So sorry, our tech guy's closing the window. There's some roof workers who are talking. So
I did the math a couple months ago. My math memory is usually pretty good on the dollars per trip. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I have Director Sparrow and then Director Law and Director.
Yeah, well, thank you. My question is what we're doing in Handicart is custom transit. Is that Handicart do that, or are they part of the program? They said they pay into it.
Can't remember.
Custom, that's a good Eddie question.
Question, is Beaufort part of the service?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I thought they were. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Law?
Yeah, I just have a couple comments. I want to talk about the benefits of BC Transit and going forward with this motion now. It has transformed West Coast life, especially for the youth and for people who work. There's hundreds of youth that go from Tofino to Port Alberni and back every single day. It's the largest migration of people for residents that we have, and this is an essential transportation service that did not exist. So it has transformed their lives. Tofino does pay a significant amount of money, and I hear other community members talking about their numbers, which are relatively low. But we are willing and happy to pay the portion to have the service. I do have a comment on arguing about percentages increases and apportionment. 38.13% sounds like a lot, but when you actually look at the numbers breaking down per median value home, those numbers can be actually quite small. And I suggest if we talk about if we're going to consider nixing this at this moment for apportionment questions, then that opens up the discussion about other apportionment. And I would like to say that Tofino especially pays a significant amount of money per capita, far beyond every other community at this table, for things that we do not get the same amount of services for, including schools and many other things. And so I think that I just want to bring it back to the service that's at hand, exactly what we're talking about, is providing a service. And in this case, some people, some members of the committee may be paying a little bit more for a service, but in the whole grand scheme of things, I think it works out rather well. So I would like to humbly say and move the motion and get it on the floor.
I'll second that.
Okay, I did say to Director Cote that I would go to her next for a motion, and she did point out that she would like to. I think it's going to get defeated though, Director Cote.
Can I speak now?
Yeah.
I'm not opposed. I know that this is gonna go anyways because it doesn't matter. This contract was renewed on April the 1st, sort of automatically. I read the contract and what I'm trying to get at is that we are gonna talk about looking at these services where apportionment is sort of unequitable. So I've looked at section 4 on page 34 that talks about term and renewal. So anything that we do in the future has to be in writing 180 days prior to in written notice. So I'm aware of what's going on, that we don't have a choice in this matter today.
Yeah.
But going forward, I want to put it on the table that Sprout Lake is not wanting to be a part of this service going forward.
Yeah, and I wanted to give you the opportunity, and Director Boyko, the opportunity to speak your piece about apportionment, even though it's not strictly related to this particular conversation. Because I think there's utility in reminding people that it's still an ongoing conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But I just want to make sure that it's on the table, that we have this conversation prior to the 180 days notice that we need to give going forward, because like this is already too late, so.
Yeah, I think we already have it moving without having to do that official evocation. Like we do have somebody who's going to come in and help us with that conversation. But what we can do is report on the timeline so that it's more concrete.
Yes.
But it should also be subject not just to the Alberni Valley conversation, but the West Coast conversation as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm very aware of the benefits of the service. That's why I'm suggesting that we create our own service.
Yeah.
At Sprout Lake and just withdraw from the Alberni Valley service that's being provided for Handy Dart service.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't think it's just Handy Dart, but that's probably the primary one that I would be concerned about. Just because I think of all the regions in the Alberni Valley, it's probably Sprout Lake that's aging the fastest. And at a certain point, they likely won't be able to drive as much. So there needs to be some sort of coverage that isn't just a taxi. Yeah.
I'd like to point out that our community is shrinking as far as aged people. There are a lot of multiple families are buying homes. It is becoming very much of a recreational community where people don't live there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just know that there were some pretty aged people who had to drag their garbage up a hill. So that was important to note too. Okay, anyway.
Handicap.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dr. Law, did you have anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I have Director Roth at the end, so we'll do that. But next up, I have Director Solda and then Director Law.
Okay.
With that report, if it comes back regarding Sprout Lake and that, it would be great to have the numbers in the riderships for each area. Just because stats are really important.
Yep.
I'm going to be interested to see in the future, to see what the consensus report says, like regarding Sprout Lake, as you said, there is an aging community. And when the consensus report comes out comes out next year, it'll be interesting because it'll give us a little more to go on for the future of where we are going to. And I think that's really important. So, but it would be great to have stats of how many people in each area ride.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've heard conflicting reports and different numbers and stuff, but it would be nice to have a proper report.
Just on the numbers, I did kind of presuppose that this would come up. So I asked Daniel to confer with us. From my understanding, the cost of this contract is for the ACRD, like as a whole, or is this just the AV? For the AV, it's about $40 per $100,000 of value. For the West Coast, it's about $84 per $100,000 of value. So I think what you point out is accurate and is something that should be considered as well. So when it comes to apportionment, when it comes to those kind of considerations. So thank you all for this conversation. I know that it's fraught with a lot of background anxieties, but it's something that we can surmount. It's not anything new, but we'll figure it out. Next up, I have Director Roth, and we'll go back to Director Law and the motion that he'd like to make. Dr. Roth, go ahead.
I just wanted to make a comment about the apportionment discussion. Just that part of the problem is the differences between, or there are differences between municipalities and unincorporated electoral areas. And I'm hoping that the playing field is leveled a bit better. So when we have that discussion about apportionment, maybe we'll be looking at governance too. Thank you.
You point out something very important that I think is a structural problem with the Local Government Act and regional districts as a whole. That's something we should talk about for the next agenda item. Thank you. Dr. Law, you had an intention to move the motion, I believe?
Yeah, I would like to, if I'm able to right now.
Please go ahead.
Okay, I move that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors approve the 2026-2027 annual operating agreement between BC Transit and the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District for the Alberni Valley Custom and West Coast Conventional Transit System.
Thank you. I know Director Haggard seconds. Because it is a weighted vote, and I completely gapped out on that, I figure we should do a recorded vote just for that purpose. So I will, because Cynthia is in another room, I'll read out the people who vote yes and the people who vote no, or call them out as they do it. Before we go forward, Director Cote?
Just another thing that I looked at on page 38 was the cost of fares, and that's a one-way trip. It says all are $2, and I don't believe that's true, because I believe it costs, you buy tickets or whatever, and it costs more to go out to Sprout Lake. I'm just questioning that.
Eddie, go ahead.
Yeah, through the chair. BC Transit has done away. So it used to cost more if you traveled further. It doesn't anymore. It's consistent no matter where you are traveling.
Thank you for that clarification.
Any further comments? Okay, since it's a weighted vote, all those in favor, please raise your hand, raise your hand and keep them up until I call your name. So Director Haggard, Director Solda, Dr. McEwen, Dr. Beckett, Dr. Law, Dr. Coots, Dr. Siga, Dr. Sparrow, Dr. Mastrangelo. I think that's it. And then all opposed, Dr. Cote, Dr. Boyko, and Dr. Roth. I think everybody's here. That's great. Oh, no, Christopher's not here. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, though. So I'll declare the motion carried. Thank you. And we will endeavor to report on the status of a larger conversation regarding apportionment. And we'll do that either at our next meeting or the meeting after. I assume next meeting's probably fine, but yeah, we'll get there.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so that brings us to item B, which is something that has been noted, and that has to do with our UCM convention meeting requests for the Premier, the Cabinet, ministers, and staff, like senior staff. So one thing I'd like to state, and I'd like to start with Director Law, because he had some stuff in regards to health that I wouldn't mind him talking to generally, because he might be gone before we get to reports. So if you indulge the chair in this case, that would be helpful. And then we can get into the other item that was raised by Director Cote around regional districts not having the tools, or electoral area directors not having the same tools that municipalities have, which is legislative reform, but still something that is important. Dr. Law, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Jack. Just to Minister of Infrastructure, in regards to Tofino General Hospital replacement project, we did have a invitation down, and I was able to go down with two other councillors to Victoria and me personally. We did get an update on why the Community General Hospital has been delayed, and I will happily fill everybody out in on that perhaps another time. But we are preparing, the District of Columbia is preparing UBCM minister meetings as well. And we are going to request a meeting with Minister of Infrastructure to follow up on that conversation that we had, which was a very informative, very positive conversation again, although very difficult, obviously, financial infrastructure field at the moment. But I know that the ACRD is also looking at minister meetings, and Councillor Tom Steer, who is the ACRD primary director, has requested that myself, Mayor Law, be included in an ACRD minister application to be Minister of Infrastructure as well. Thank you. So,
Director Haggard,
Yes.
would you mind passing or moving a motion or recommending a motion that we include Mayor Law in any conversations about the hospital here?
I would like to move that any conversations we have with ministers in the upcoming UBCM include representatives from Tofino.
Oh, that's way more flexible, just in case.
Second.
Any further comments? Go ahead.
Just a question, I just remember this has been an ongoing issue, and when Josie was your seat from the past, it was a big argument and discussion at the time, and I just really feel, I was really shocked that they canceled it, and it really irks me because it's been an ongoing issue for years and years and years. So I just wanted to say that too.
sure, and I did get permission from the Minister of Infrastructure to share the primary reason for the delay and perhaps the pause is that the cost rose, the projected cost and the recalculated cost rose 900%. So
understandable.
So that's an understandable pause on their part, but they're also looking at ways to bring those costs down and to a manageable level. And there was some very, very positive discussion at that point. And also that they're also looking at a rural hospital, basically we could say a broad pro forma, perhaps, where they would look at each small hospital need in a rural community under the same lens. And then we were able to argue, in our case, Tofino, although on paper, StatsCan, BC projected populations, it's about 2,700 people. Really, the hospital serves Ucluelet, Tofino, Howsett, Heshquit, Tloquit First Nation, Klulethoth, Toquat, and many tens of thousands of visitors. And so it is not a small rural hospital in the true effective population sense. And so that is something that we needed to reiterate. And I suggest ACRD also, when ACRD goes in front of the minister and Island Health, that also reiterate that population is a significant population. Yeah, so that was part of the gist of the conversation, and there was other stuff as well. But the minister, the conversation I had with the minister, we had with the minister, was very positive in that they were looking for ways that we can be together and that we can get to yes. And so I think my proposal would be that any discussions with the Minister of Infrastructure, the Minister of Health, and Island Health is that how do we collectively get to yes with all of our assets? And we have plenty of assets.
Good.
Thank you on that. Dr. McEwen?
I'd be happy to be included in any discussions at UBCM regarding the Tofino Hospital.
Okay.
It severely impacts Ucluelet as well.
Is it all right to amend?
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I should have included you. I was thinking including you, and when I said it, I did, so I apologize.
Okay.
And I have one more. This is
wait. Okay, so we'll include, so representative from the district of Ucluelet as well, to the motion. Any further comments? Director Wall?
I have one more comment, and this is directly a request from the Minister of Health. And that is to put a priority on including First Nations elected leadership in the conversation as well. They may not be part of ACRD like Local First Nation, but that she highlighted that as a significant opportunity and a significant challenge if it's not there.
Okay.
And
West Coast leaders. Okay, thank you. All right. So we will do it this way. We will, as a board, identify representatives of the district of Ucluelet and Tofino, as well as West Coast Indigenous leaders, to have the option to attend any meetings that the ACRD facilitates in meeting regarding the Tofino Hospital project. Is that?
I'll second that.
Okay, I think it's already been seconded. Okay.
Totally agree.
But Cynthia needs to hear what we're saying, or else it's all gonna be crazy. Sorry. Any further comments? All those in favor? All opposed? The motion carries. Okay, you had a second one? Let's start and then I interrupted you.
No, that was it. I just wanted to bring in back that I was recollecting the Minister of Health's comments to me directly. That was the last one.
Okay. I think the next idea is to follow up with Minister Boyle in regards to legislative reform, especially when it comes to regional districts and the tools available to especially electoral area directors in governing generally. We all know the shortcomings. We all know the limitations of your governance. And that needs to be brought into the 20th century. So these things were built in the 1970s. So, yeah. Dr. Cote, would you like to move that?
I'll move that.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Thank you, Dr. Sparrow. I think every electoral area director agrees with this. All those in favor? All opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Are there any other? Dr. Haggard, please go ahead.
I wonder if it'd be beneficial to reach out to Mr. Palmer, just to thank them for their support for the wildfire last year. I know it's been a whole year, but it's always nice to reach out with that relationship, say thank you for your support, and maybe just give some things up what we learned that we could do better for next time and what we worked on.
So let's make it Minister Parmar and the EMCR minister, which her ministry was crackerjack in helping out. So everything we can do to help them,
yes,
would be great too. Dr. Soto?
So at the meeting that we were at Charsland,
Yeah.
it would be great to attach that, the video of it, because there was so much, I mean, you were amazing in that, and so was all the other speakers, and it just told a lot about the fire, like, you know, when I was sitting with my fellow counselor, we were going, whoa, we didn't realize that because we were, although we're policymakers, we weren't there, right? And there was a lot we learned from that. I don't know if you think it's a value to attach that?
I think so. I think it just comes down to, we should voice our appreciation for the work that both Ministry of Forests and especially the Ministry of Emergency Management and Climate Resilience. Yes, I think it's resilience. They did, especially since BC Wildfire Service was so great as well. These are groups that we need to identify and continually speak their praises, I think. So even if it's just like, thank you, what can we do to be better? I really like the Emergency Disaster Management Act. I think there's a lot of power in that act for local government and First Nations to work together in ways that can help make things better for everyone involved. Because there's some things that we did during the fire at Huu-ay-aht that were able to help everyone in the region that was affected, not just Huu-ay-aht. And I think that's something that is a bit of a innovation, even if it is a small one, that we can hopefully use as a means to create something through EDMA, because you can create agreements that allow for certain things to happen automatically. And it's just, it feels like there should be conversations now about how we're going to have each other's backs, no matter what happens, no matter where we're at when it comes to this region. And I think we're the ones to be able to demonstrate it at its most powerful. So,
Okay,
Yeah.
just had one more thing to pick. And also in that video, the gentleman that got up and that spoke about fueling the fire, like he had all these years of experience.
the guy who's
And-
actually a part of it, yeah.
And it's really important to realize people with experience also have fantastic ideas, and
Mhm.
I didn't know that happened, and that was really great. You know, he did that. And he worked with the people who were suppressing the fire. So I think it's, I don't know, I just thought it was a great video, and I thought it was a great presentation, and it was, might be worthwhile to
Great.
catch it.
Okay, so thanks, and wanting to collaborate with these ministers on the subject of wildfires. I think that's the main thing. So that would be Minister of Forests, Minister of Emergency Management, Climate Resilience, potentially the local government minister, but maybe it's Brittany Anderson. I don't know. Does anyone want to move that? I would add those four.
I'll move
So there's Minister Boyle, who we might want to include and see if they want to send someone to a meeting. And Minister Brittany Anderson is a Carlsec for the premier. Man. Okay, he can't do
It's
that.
Morse code, it's Morse code.
Okay, one moment, that's it.
Work out of the roof.
Okay. Hey, guys.
Just packing this off and I'm done.
Okay. All right, let's do this, let's do this one motion and then we'll take a 5-minute break.
I'll move it off.
Okay, so it's been moved, seconded by Dr. Solda. So this is for a meeting with those four ministers about wildfires. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Let's do a 5-10 minute break. Back at 2:45.
That I get a pension.
You just have to hit a button and it's unmute. That's okay. All right. Okay, so we're continuing our discussion on UBCM meeting requests. So I think we've covered off 2 of them so far. More than that if you count multiple folks. So I think the other one I'd like to talk about and continue talking about is forestry. And then another one would be alternate route. Those would be the only 2 that come to my mind right now. But I'm wondering if Director Cote and Director Boyko have any thoughts around agriculture too. But you had your hand up first. So Director Beckett, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on your comment about alternate route, and I recognize we're in the midst of doing some really good work, and but my thoughts would be to meet with Mr. Farnsworth just to brief him on where we are and the progress that we've made, so that he's aware of how hard we're working as a region and the committee. And the progress that we've made. So it doesn't come as a complete surprise when we finally come up with a proposed alternate route suggestion. So that's my thoughts on using that aspect to, I mean, the last time we talked to him, it was kind of, good luck, there's not really any funding, but I think we still should be approaching them to identify that we are committed to finding a way forward with this, and here's the progress to date.
Thank you. Would you like to make that into a motion?
I'd like to make that a motion.
Seconded by Director Coots. Any further comments on this motion, and then we'll get to the next ones? Director Solda?
Just a quick one, when you have that meeting with the transportation, could I be part of that? Because I'm also with the city in the that committee too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll have a defined answer, or relatively defined by that time. We're getting all the steps in place.
We're working on trying to unify an approach.
Hopefully by that time we'll have it defined, saying this is what we came together as a region with all participants.
Yeah.
Will be the next big step. We thought of this all together, and this is what we said. We're not quite there yet. We're almost there. You can see the finish line, but once we get past it, it'll be great. And we'll say, this is what we think we could. Next step.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah.
There is work between now and the actual meeting that we should have a good general understanding of what our unified approach is going to be to that particular question, which is separate than an emergency route, and that requires its own work as well. That seems more straightforward. So I think the alternate route conversation is more of an acute one. Okay, Director Cote?
You want something for agriculture?
Oh, yeah, let's do this. Let's do this motion first. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, I have Director Cote and then Director Roth.
Okay, I have a couple of them. So for agriculture, which includes fisheries, I'd like to talk to someone about a provincial water plan. We have issues with our Great Central Lake Dam and the Sprout Lake Weir. We need supports for that. They're archaic when it comes right down to it. When you have to throw a hook in, pull out a lock, stop lock, it's pretty crazy. And we at our previous agricultural development committee, I think it was, our ag advisory, we did talk about water. It was a huge issue on talking about drought and making sure that there's provisions that will be available for farmers.
So this is fresh water, right?
Potable, yeah, or, well, doesn't have to be potable.
But just not salmon, I mean. Yeah.
Yes, and yeah.
Okay.
Salmon, well.
Okay. I think that makes sense. It makes me want to think of flood mapping as well, because that kind of just dropped off the side of the earth and we've not really heard anything since, but maybe that's a separate conversation.
Yes, I'm hoping that the ACRD will actually do a drought study similar to the flood study that they did.
Yeah.
So that there's a balance, so that you can weigh the two against each other.
I thought,
Makes sense.
yeah, for the flood mapping part, we had a lot of will to do it and then we just didn't get information from the province and it just kind of died. That's my understanding. I can't remember though. But either way, so on provincial water plan.
That'd be Walrus, it'll be Randy Neal.
Okay, so Minister Neal have a meeting regarding that.
Yes,
Would you like to move that?
I'll move that.
Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Director Beckett. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. Director Roth.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to find out through the government if there's a way they can create legislation or change legislation so that directors and councillors have some protection under the law to attend meetings. Because currently there isn't anything. So if your employer doesn't want you to go to a meeting, you don't go to a meeting. So there needs to be something to give us protection.
It's okay. So you mean like you have another job and you're not protected from employment consequences if you want to go to a board meeting or committee meeting or that sort of thing?
That's right. Like some collective agreements have that written right into the agreement that you can attend. If you're elected, you can attend meetings without penalty. Well, I would like to see that be expanded so that anyone that holds office has some kind of legislative protection from.
That's a good idea. Is there a Minister of Labor or something like that? Or is that jobs? Would that be JEG? Or whatever it's called now?
Could be JEG, it could be our Ministry of Municipal Affairs.
And it's province-wide.
Okay. So let's.
Or Solgen.
Yeah, right? That's a really good idea, Dr. Roth. The comments? Dr. Haggard?
Thank you. I actually thought that there was protection. They would not be paid for the time off, but they had to be given the time off. So before there isn't, there used to be. I remember
Maybe
that.
for municipal, but I don't know that it exists for EA. Yeah.
Can we do some investigation before we?
Oh,
do
yeah,
this?
yeah, yeah.
We'll absolutely support it, but just want to make sure we're not requesting something that's already protected.
Okay, because we could add it to municipal affairs, but if it's something that maybe hits JEG, then maybe we mention it to them too. Director Beckett?
I'm wondering if maybe it was in a collective agreement for a union, maybe that's why.
Yeah, that's.
It's in your collective.
Oh, but it's not province wide, so,
Province
yeah,
wide,
so
okay.
it's a separate company, right? Yeah. Director Beckett?
That's exactly what I was trying to ask Director Roth is, are you referring to union executive work?
No.
When you were referring to examples, I was making an assumption you were talking about only union related work.
Oh, no, they have sometimes in collective agreements, they'll have it if you're elected into office, like in a municipality or like what I do with electoral area, you have some protection to attend meetings without penalty. I wish I had an example in front of me, but I don't.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure CUPE has it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to, sorry, Chair, for interrupting. That's exactly what I was going to ask you. If you had an example where whatever company, if you could show us an example where, yes, if you are an elected official, either municipal or regional, you could attend. But you mentioned CUPE, so maybe staff could investigate with CUPE to see how many collective agreements include that provision for elected official position.
I think this begs a lot of meat and potatoes that the NDP can really gnash their get their teeth into. Like, this is a really good idea from a political perspective. Like, yeah. Dr. Coots.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm also curious if Director Roth would be open to the idea of having it be a little bit of a broader spectrum to also include students. And I use the term students very, very broadly. Anybody considering like post-secondary and things like that, or younger folks as well too, but just to have that extra layer so that way it doesn't really matter what people are doing, but just that layer of protection.
Yeah, anybody that holds an elected position in a municipality or in a regional district? Because I'm pretty sure that covers the whole province. But I mean, that would include anybody, right?
Okay. Would you
Let's
like to
do
make
it.
a, yeah, Director Roth, would you like to move that?
Yes, I would.
Do we have a seconder?
I have a comment.
Oh, sorry about that. Please go ahead.
That's okay. One, thank you, Susan, because this is this is extremely important. And I do believe that an employer can hold it against you just simply by signing the agreement of payment. And once that reaches them, then that's a breach of contract with your contract. Although even if it's not in your contract, they can use it for just cause and release you. And that can be the sole reason why you are released, simply because you are serving a represented other employer, such as the ACRD. So even if you're just appointed to it, and
Thank you, Lavanna.
it's really worth looking into.
Yeah, I think that's excellent, and thank you, Lavanna. There's a lot. It can be a really big picture.
Okay. We had a lot of seconders, but I'll just say Director Cates. Hey, all those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. That was really.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. No, it's so good. I lost my train of thought. I don't remember who's next. So is anybody else who had any other meetings that they'd like to consider? Dr. Cote.
Thank you. Staff meetings, are we talking about those now?
Oh yeah, any topic. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I would like to then talk to staff regarding optional custom service, because I asked about that to someone at AVICC that was there, that's attending. And if it was possible to actually create your own service for custom service.
Like a bus?
Well,
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can organize that, but I think the short answer is yes, you can. We did that on the West Coast prior to BC Transit taking it.
Yeah.
So we can create the service. Obviously, there's a process, but we are a good example on the West Coast of having done exactly that.
The province has to agree, though, to allow Sprout Lake to withdraw from the service. But
yeah,
I was thinking that because we do value the service, but we'd like to create our own, because we think that it would be more equitable for the members of the community to be paying for their own service rather than into a service that keeps increasing. Like in 2 years, it's more than doubled. So, it just seems to be going that way, where I think that we could almost buy our own bus for $70,000 at this point. So there was that one. And also I'd like to talk to someone regarding incorporating, just because there was different models that they provided. So I'm sure that staff could give us more information on the difference, because you don't necessarily have to go for the full incorporation.
Okay. And these would be staff
Meetings.
probably transportation and transit and municipal affairs?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. You like to move that?
I'll move that.
Do you have a seconder? Thank you, Director Soda. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. I don't want to waste time, but that kind of raised a question for me. Can we have a conversation about interregional transit? Given the first few conversations that I've had with the chair of the RDN, he seems pretty keen on it as well. So we should identify what that looks like, understanding that most of the power is coming from Port Alberni on this one. But I wouldn't mind having that conversation. So I'll move that. Meeting with, I think, George Anderson. Sure. And senior staff, if he's not available, regarding interregional transit.
Which is great.
Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Director Beckett. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, we do have time to come back to this as well. I think we need to get it all in by end of June, is it? Or mid of June?
If I recall.
Really?
Yeah, mid-June.
We have one more meeting,
Mhm.
maybe.
18th.
18th, yeah, okay. Okay. With that in mind, maybe we should move on. And I will get the heck out of here and you can call me back in whatever long it takes. Okay. I'll go for it.
This area is for electoral area directors only. The first item on the agenda is temporary use permit 25016 HFN Lands Corp. 390 Grafter Road, Banfield. So Alex, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. This is a temporary use permit application to allow for a dormitory building on this property in Banfield to be used for seasonal staff accommodation for a Wayat group of businesses employees during the summer months. The existing building is being reconfigured and upgraded to provide 6 larger units created by joining internal doorways. The applicants had previously received a TUP in 2018 and in 2022 for staff accommodations and is now seeking a new permit to reflect the reconfigured view. The board had considered this application on April 22nd when the applicants provided their presentation on their current plans for this application that for staff housing as well as their intended longer term plans for development of this property into more housing opportunities. At that meeting, the board resolved to proceed with the neighbor notification and the public advertising process. That process has been completed and the board has received 1 letter of correspondence, which is the letter that's included here on your late agenda. The letter expresses concerns about the continuation of the TUP, the number of applications for this property and the limited community benefit that the existing structures do provide. So in conjunction with the TUP application, I also want to highlight that the applicants have submitted a development permit application and the required geotechnical engineering assessments to consider the tsunami risk. The applicants have also submitted a building permit application and have provided building plans and letters of assurance from the engineers to obtain a building permit for the upgrade of the structure to the 6 units. Both of these applications are complete and now ready to go, subject to the issuance of the TUP. So given the information that the applicants provided at the April meeting, that they intend to bring forward a rezoning application to consider future housing opportunities at this site and that the issuance of this TUP would provide them with the opportunity to meet an immediate need in the interim. Staff do recommend that the board proceed with issuing the permit and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Is there any questions or comments? Director Beckett.
Well, I have some comments. I'm going to clarify, and I appreciate the letter that Max Solomon sent in. But he makes a comment in the second sentence that this is the 4th TUP. This is the 3rd TUP.
That's correct. Yeah.
And I also will refer the board to the last sentence in which he quotes me saying, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it must be a duck. And I did say that. And I said that because I don't disagree that with facts that the structure for all intents and purposes is staying the same. We're moving from 12 units to 6 units. And while that's going to hopefully enhance the stay of the seasonal workers, it really doesn't expand, again, as Max points out, it doesn't really expand or create housing, more desirable housing for the community and non-seasonal housing. So the one question I have, and Alex and I have talked about this, and I'm wondering, Alex, if you could speak to the concern that I raised that as the board experienced more and more TUPs coming up for I won't call it renewal, but they're looking for another 3rd year. Pretty soon we have lots of potential TUPs that other folks are going to be looking for a third term, although the bylaw or legislation doesn't permit that. So Max again raises a point or a concern about the process and the legislation. So I'll stop there because I'm hoping that that Alex, you can kind of broach where we're going with this as a board.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. Through the chair. So staff are working on a report to the board that we'll be bringing forward in June that will highlight some options for using temporary use permits to manage short-term rentals moving forward. And through that, we are seeking a legal opinion on how to manage the multiple TUP applications. It looks like the local governments have the flexibility to issue multiple TUPs, but they do need to be temporary in nature, and where a use is not a temporary use, it introduces some risk. So a use like you have an existing building and you're using it as a short-term rental, that is a temporary use of that existing building, and that use can change from time to time. If you're using the TUP to build infrastructure or to build a building, that the use would remain the same, whether that's residential or commercial or industrial. It's not really temporary in nature, and that it will introduce some risk inherently. So we are staff will be presenting some options to that. Now, I think one of the options would be that the board can utilize the TUPs, multiples of TUPs moving forward, but maybe they will be discretionary at all times. So maybe the recommendation from staff at the time would be that prior to considering the reissuance of another TUP, we would only consider it, or it would only be supported by staff in conjunction with the receipt of a rezoning application or something that would have some more clarity on what the longer term uses of the property would be. So more information to come on that. With this application, it is clear that the use has changed with the conversion of the structures. Even though the main structure is there, the use is different. So as staff, we are confident that the TUP that we're putting forward, the board is able to issue that in its current form. And we have heard from the applicants that they are preparing a rezoning application to determine the long-term uses of the site. Thank you.
That addresses your questions, Director Begg. Do you have more questions?
No, Chair, thank you very much, through the chair to Alex. Thank you very much for adding that. And I think that I am supportive of this issuance of the TUP based on what Alex has just identified that will be coming forward to the board in June. And the fact that I'm very confident that the Hawaii group of businesses will be coming forward in the not too distant future with a more long-term plan for that. It's very, very valuable. They have incredible housing needs for staffing, and have indicated to me that their staffing would include both First Nations and non-Indigenous individuals. So based on that, and again, sorry, one last comment before I make the motion. I'm very appreciative of Max writing the letter and stating his concerns, because it has, his concerns and the process reflect not just Banfield, but all of us within the ACRD. So with that, I would, if I can find it, yes, that the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors issue temporary use permit TUP 25016.
Moved by Director Beckett, second by Director Cote. Director Sparrow.
Good question. So Alex, they modified the building to create a different set of circumstances for TUPs. Could they in the future remodify it again in a different way and back to the original structure and then requalify for another TUP? Is this endless?
Yes, in theory, although I would highlight that, these are discretionary applications. So the fact that they can modify a building and make a new application doesn't mean that the board has to issue it in those cases. And it seems like that's where we're heading from. The staff recommendation would be that prior to issuing multiples of TUPs, we do want to see some
some permanent resolution to these things, right? And the next time that this application comes forward, if it does, it will likely be accompanied by language about what is the long-term use of the property, and can we move to a rezoning application that would satisfy that?
Thank you, Alex. Any Director Cote?
Thank you. Through the chair to staff, it brings up the question to me as to ownership. So it seems to me that the temporary use permit goes with the owner, not the property.
Correct.
So you could have two short-term temporary use permits and then change the title from, say, myself to my husband. Could I do another 6 years?
Yes, again, in theory, that is another way to do it. But again, so the intent of the temporary use permit issued to an individual is that that individual is operating the use, right? And if it's a husband and a wife, then I think that the board can look at that differently than it would be that if I own a property that I have a TUP for a business that I operate, and then I sell that to you as an unrelated individual, then you would have to make your own application.
So it seems to me that there's at Sprout Lake specifically, there are a lot of properties now that are jointly owned by different families, by numbered companies, just change the number of the company. I think that there's ways around this that we need to sort of take a look at.
You're giving people sneaky ideas, Director Cook.
Yeah. Sorry, my mind goes there. I guess I'm a sneaky person.
I see Director Boyko.
Director Boyko?
I think we're all got the same question of, you got the same property doing the same use, doing a TUP for number 3. And fundamentally, it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters who owns it, and those are all technicalities, but why has this proponent not gone forward with rezoning? This is like year 7, year 8 of this thing. How long are we expecting us to go along with just waiting and issuing TUPs and TUPs? And are we even allowed to do this for the number 3 time for this property? Like fundamentally, just because you move some walls in there, we can redo it. Like at a high level, we should not be doing this. So A, are we allowed to do it? And B, why have they not rezoned? Have we talked to a proponent? Are they planning on doing it? Are they just biding time because we're going to say yes and carry on? Like, those are fundamental questions. Thank you.
Because I could address that. Thank you, Director Boyko, through the chair. So the staff recommendation is that yes, we are confident that the board is able to issue the temporary use permit as it is a new use that has changed. I know that's a technicality, but that is the case. And the applicants did present at the April 22nd meeting their long-term vision of the property. They've had a number of staffing changes and all that sort of thing that has modified the management of this site over the years. I would say that from the staff recommendation at this point would be to issue this temporary use permit, but to look at it as the last opportunity to have a temporary use here. And what we're hearing from the proponents now is that they're actively preparing a rezoning application that would look at some long-term development of the site, but that they need this in the interim and they need this in the immediate this summer. So
thank you, Alex. Director Beckett.
Can I have a follow-up, please? Thank you. So
Please go ahead.
The timeline of starting TUPs 2018, this is the first one that's coming up for a 3rd time. There will be more. So we've got to be careful setting a precedent here that, oh, well, the board's just going to let us do it another 3rd time. So if we do allow this, I suggest that we put up amend the motion and say, this will be the last one at this property for this purpose with these owners, whatever wording we want to say you need to do a rezoning so that we are not making this a permanent TUP renewal thing. It's also a whole bunch of time we're wasting keep doing these too. Thank you.
I have Director Beckett and Director Cote.
Further to Director Boyko, I'm going to back up just a little bit. You already stated it, Alex, and I'll state it very clearly as well, that I do see things black and white like other colleagues and friends around the table. And it would be easy to say, no, you've had your two kicks at the cat. But I really do believe that the applicant proponent is motivated to do something with the property, including the rezoning. More specifically, we're absolutely desperate to have housing this summer for a busier tourist season, given the efforts of the Hoyt and the road improvements. But you know, further to Director Boyko, does a temporary use permit have to be 3 years, or could the board say, yes, we'll give you this, and rather than say, you know, but this is the last one, you know, could we say that it's a shorter term? It's for the, you know, 1 year or 2 years, which sends a very strong message to say, we've given you this opportunity to accommodate your needs for the summer, but we really do need to address the rezoning.
I believe that can be less than 3 years, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So the motion could be to issue the TUP for less than 3 years, whether that's 1 year or two. I would leave that up to the board.
Director Cote, then Director Coots.
Thank you. I believe in the temporary use permits. I support this application going forward with the change in that they've made to the units. I would like to, we've discussed this in the past, that, you know, wondering what we were going to do when these 3-year temporary use permits stopped, because they give us the ability to manage these rental units, short-term vacation rental units. It's important that we have the ability to do that, because before we had this in place, there was many problems. And that's a lot more time spent with our bylaws officers tracking down and trying to trap these people, I guess, or catch these people in the act of non-compliance. So having these temporary use permits, it gives us the ability to pull their license, and once judges or whatever, we actually have a leg to stand on going forward. So I believe in these, and I'd like to see them be able to be issued more than twice. That's my own position. Thank you.
Director Coots.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My apologies to the directors. I recognize I do not get a vote on this, but I do have some questions around it. Would it be amenable to the board, and would it be a possibility for staff to come forward with a specific amount of time that it would take? I'm just going to be very ambiguous and just pull random numbers out of my head, so do not quote the time frames. But say if it takes 9 months for your team to go through a development or a zoning application, call it what we want, we'll say 9 months, would it be amenable to state within this motion that we would issue the permit for a specific time frame of, say, 12 months, 9 months being the time it takes to accept the development application, plus 3 months for administrative burden on either side, rather than it being the 3 year, and then that could be a potential stamp that is used for those longer term or reoccurring temporary use applications?
Yeah, through the chair. Thank you. Yeah, certainly 6 to 9 months would be what we would expect with an application in hand. I will highlight that the proponents at the last meeting did mention that they were working on an application. They don't have one ready yet. So, you know, a 1 year issuance would be, you know, I think would be enough time. I would highlight that brings them to the beginning of the next summer season as well. So maybe 15 months would be more appropriate, just to allow us to work together on you know, what the future uses of that site are. But yeah, that is an opportunity, and I think that does send a message that that the board is interested in seeing the long-term vision of this property rather than these temporary use permits.
Director.
So based on that, and that was, Madam Chair, a question I was going to ask. I mean, we've had lots of good discussion around the table. We know we've got some, a bigger issue, but with respect to this issue itself, I was going to ask Alex, what would your recommendation be? I mean, you've made a recommendation as staff to give them the TUP. We've had this great discussion, and now what I heard you say is that, would you, why don't you as a board consider 15 months, which would give them and staff that opportunity to make this happen. So based on that, I'd like to amend the motion to, include include it being a 15-month TUP. And I'm not sure who seconded it on.
I think it was Director Cote.
Sure.
Perfect.
So 15 months is workable for you, for the department?
Yeah.
Okay. So first we have to vote on the amendment, right?
Yep, with the amendment
Okay.
first.
Good
So
job.
what we're gonna vote in on first is the amendment to change the temporary use permit to 15 months. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. So now the motion is to issue the temporary use permit to UP 25016 for 15 months.
It's amended.
As amended. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, we said what we.
Yeah. He was halfway out of the parking lot.
No monkeys. Okay, so that brings us to item, did you do all three or just?
That's the one.
All right. That brings us to item B under 12.1. So the temporary use permit for Beaufort. So Alex, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. This TUP application is for an agritourism accommodation use on a 28-hectare farm property located at 9010 Bryson Road in Beaufort. The proposed use would include up to 6 unserviced campsites utilized over the spring and the summer months for farm stays associated with the proponents' educational workshops and wool dyeing workshops that they do, as well as farm tours. The April 22nd meeting, the board resolved to proceed with the public input process. That process has been completed and did not result in any correspondence received from the public. The camping area would be unserviced, with guests bringing in their own drinking water and portable toilets provided. And the conditions in the TUP would intend to address the technical considerations like management under the ALC regulations, like promoting fire smart principles and restricting open burning and requiring caretaker availability. However, I understand some questions have been raised in the community, and we did hear from a community member earlier today about the technical aspects and the operation. I will leave it at that. I'll leave it to Director Boyko to make some comments relating to the application. Thank you.
Thanks, Director Boyko. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So Beaufort's usually a quiet place. And in the last day and a half, my phone and emails and text messages have blown up about this application. So neighbor notifications went out, nothing came back. I asked people why they did not send back their comments that way. And I had everything like, no one listens to us anyways, and I don't have a computer and things like this. But I've had numerous conversations, and I'm just looking on the map in the background here on a different screen you can't see, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 neighbors of this place. I've talked to 5 of them in the past day and a half here. And they're expressing concerns about fire protection. There's no fire protection out there, but all the residents around the area already have their own fire protection. They're asking what this person will be doing with this. How many trips for the septic emptying will be done per week? They're questioning the number of tents. Currently, I think there's 5 RVs on site already, and some are occupied. And that is not in this permit at all. They're questioning noise, traffic. How are we going to prevent trespassing on neighbors' properties? Because often there's no fences out there. Big one here is insurance. What insurance is these people are going to have if a fire starts there and they're culpable with it spreading. So I would like to pause this and have a public hearing because we did not have one with this, and the people have already replied that we like that 6 of the direct neighbors would like to go to a public hearing and ask questions. And that is how I'd like to proceed. So I will take a motion right now to change this from an approval to have a public hearing that the Beaufort electoral area representative will set up. And we'll host that as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Dr. Roth, thank you. Did you have a comment as well?
Yeah, I was just saying I wanted to support the fellow that talked earlier today, and I wanted to defer the decision until it's been addressed. Thank you.
All right, so moved and seconded. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, that brings us to item C, which is an rezoning item for Cherry Creek.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. This is a rezoning for a 1.3 hectare property located at 6088 Cotton Road in the Cherry Creek area. The property owners intend to rezone to the RA3 district to provide additional housing in the community and facilitate a 4-lot subdivision, which supports a need highlighted for housing in the community's housing needs reports. Following the public input period, the board gave 3 readings to bylaw P1524 back in May 2025. At that time, the board also resolved to require that the applicant agree to a restrictive covenant that would require a stormwater management plan prepared by an engineer and looked at the subdivision stage to require that, or to ensure that runoff and groundwater that is managed, that is produced from the subdivision of the site, ensure that it's managed to pre-development conditions. So this was included as a condition in response to concerns that were raised at the time from correspondence received during the public input period. So since that time, the applicants have worked with staff to finalize the wording of the covenant, and the covenant was finalized and finally registered to the property title earlier this month. All of the technical agency referral comments that have been received for this rezoning either noted that their interests were unaffected or recommended support for the application as presented. The stormwater management plan addresses the concerns raised by the building inspector, and Island Health has recommended support, noting that sewage disposal must comply with the provincial standards, and the subdivision again would connect with the Cherry Creek water work system here as well. So in staff's view, the applicants have now satisfied all conditions of rezoning, and we do recommend that the board adopt the bylaw to allow the applicants to proceed with the subdivision application process with ministry. Happy to answer any questions.
All right. Dr. Sparrow.
Thank you. I'm glad they did the stormwater treatment one because Cherry Creek does get really high when it rains and it's against the bridge on Moore Road sometimes. But seeing no objections, I will make the motion that the bylaw P1524 Regional District of the Burnie Lakeport Zoning Atlas Amendment bylaw be adopted.
You do a seconder. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Siga.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Did you have a comment, Dr. Roth, or were you just seconding? No, just seconding. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. That's okay. I would accidentally vote too. All right, that brings us to item 13.1, staff reports. Anything you'd like to pull out? No? Anything anyone would like to pull out? Dr. Cote, please go ahead.
Thank you. Page 64, it says Alberni septic tank service, Parks portable restrooms. Is that for Sprout Lake? Doesn't say for where.
Jenny, do you know?
Yeah, I'm just gonna find it here, sorry. Look, I suspect as well.
Okay.
It's the only location that I'm aware of where we do provide the portables, and
There's some at Great Central, there's some at Cougar Smith, and I don't know where else.
Which page, Jenny?
64.
Thank you.
From the
Yeah, I believe it is for Sprout Lake. I can find out and get back to you.
Okay, thanks.
Would you like to move to receipt?
I'll move receipt.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Dr. Kukas. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. That brings us to member reports. Does anyone have any reports? Dr. Haggard, please go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if board and staff have heard this very exciting news, but HGTV show Hometown Takeover is coming to Canada this year, and Port Alberni is in the running as finalists. So what that means, we could get a town makeover from their team of renovation experts and designers. The show's producers have challenged us to come together one more time and show them why Port Alberni is the next choice. So it asks that anybody that is available, please go down to Harbor Key on June the 9th from 8 to 11 to help show your support. Port Alberni Hometown Makeover. Very exciting.
June the 9th, Harbor Key,
8 to 11.
8 to 11 for HGTV Hometown Makeover.
Yes.
So this is to convince HGTV to come here.
Yes.
Or there. Go there.
Yes.
Yeah. Director Soba?
I'll just add to that, if we get chosen, it's economically, anybody that's been chosen in the past with this particular makeover, economically, they've done amazing. People actually come from out of town, they go and take a look at what's been done to whom and whatever. It's a fantastic economic benefit for our community if we get chosen. And second, if you're gonna, when you go down, not if, when you go down, think of parking. You're gonna park up and walk because parking is gonna be very limited. And I've asked for it to be more for accessibility, people that have accessibility issues and stuff like that, and elderly people too. So just wanted to add my 2 cents in with, on that.
I'll just double park in the fire lane and in the
Sure.
building.
Nobody's gonna find it.
Yeah, Director Coates. Hey, do
And
you have any comment?
if you're not sure what it is, go on YouTube and look it up. Look at other communities that have gone through that, and even Google, how did they find it after it was all said and done, you know? What's it called? Hometown Makeover, yeah.
Hometown Makeover?
So go and take a look, because it's gonna be very, very powerful for our community if we get it. We really want it.
Will the train be ready?
Think so. Yeah,
cool.
yes,
Oh.
yes. And there's events going to be happening too, like there'll be music and there, First Nation dancing, and it's going to be big.
Great. Director Coates?
On the Heritage Commission that I sit on, they're also going to be down at the Key on on May the 30th at 2 p.m. Abashuri's 40th anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
So there's cake and they'll be filming between a YouTuber or whatever, connection, Zoom, whatever, between Abashiri and Port Alberni. So it'll be very early for them. That's why it's 4 o'clock, whatever. And they'll be sharing their congratulations with sister cities. Then there's the Fill the Space. There's also July 1st. There's going to be a celebration down at the Harbor Key with cake and whatever that's happening that day as well. Argyle will be closed for Canada Day. It would be a big celebration though. And that's a lot of that. It's sort of organized by the Heritage.
Thank you.
Lots of party.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any further comments? Any other member reports? Seeing none. Oh, Dr.
One more. I did a water test with the Sprout Lake Community Association. And for public knowledge, we always have tested the spring on the way to the west coast at the end of Sprout Lake. And all it is a pipe that comes out of the side of the opposite side of the road into the ditch. And many people get the water there. The test results came from that 0 total coliforms and 0 E. coli. So it's very clean water. So it's very good results
Okay.
all the time.
I feel like some sort of facade should be built there. Any further comments? Could we have a motion to receive the member reports? Thank you, Dr. Coates, seconded by Dr. Beckett. Any further comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? Motion carried. All right, that brings us to other business. We don't have any late items. Do we?
Yes, just a reminder that we do have the one late item that was received as a letter of correspondence for
I'm
422
sorry.
Burlow
Yeah.
Island.
Yes. Okay, so this is a letter of correspondence. Would anyone like to speak to it? Dr. Beckett?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was hoping that perhaps Alex could just give us a quick synopsis of this, and then I'll have a comment after that.
Sure, happy to do that. So this is a letter relating to the decision that the board had made on the property 422 Burlow Island, and this was a variance application that had been denied by the board. The applicants are working their way through a Board of Variance application right now. So that is the next step in that the applicants can take to move the project forward. I think that this letter expressed some frustration in the overall process. So we are working through it, and I will say that staff are in communication with the property owners and the complainant. Happy to move this forward to some better resolution in the near future.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My only comment is that both the applicant and the author of this letter raising concern about the lack of action on this file. As I say, both the applicant and the fellow that wrote this, Mr. Ireland, you know, it was October of last year. It's not a good process in my mind. We did, or staff did, identify that we were one member short on the Board of Variance and had to fill that before we could proceed. But I guess I'm, you know, whether I was the applicant or the fellow living next door, I'd be looking for some kind of a date when you anticipate we were able to address this, because this has been a long time, and even the applicant, I feel for them as well, because you know, their building is, or a portion of the building remains just standing there. They're not able to do anything at this point in time. So through the chair, Alex, any idea, you know?
Yeah, so we have just this week heard from the applicant's agent. They're back in town. They were away for some time. So our next step is to bring forward the new member that the board has appointed to the BOB to do an orientation with that individual and with the other two that are on the board, and on the same day proceed with the review of that application. So we are setting a date for that. It will be in the next month or so. And that there is a public notification process ahead of that BOB meeting as well, which allows the neighbors to have a chance to be a part of the process. So more information to come on that in the near future. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Chair.
And we have a motion to receive the verbal report. Thank you, Dr. Beckett, seconded by. Thank you, Dr. Siga. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. That brings us to item, that's the only later business, eh? Yeah. Item 15, question period. Is there anybody left? Cynthia?
No, we don't have anyone here in the boardroom and no one online.
Okay. Then we will move into moving in camera. This is a motion to close the meeting to the public as per the community charter under section 91A, personal information about an identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the municipality, or another position appointed by the municipality. And 291C, labor relations or other employee relations. So moved. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Dr. Solda. Any further comments? Seeing none. Those in favor? All opposed?